Welcome back to another episode of Duel Alliance with myself, Alicia Solomon, and Megan Hines, where we discuss everything the challenge. We are back to discuss episode 9 of the World Championships on Paramount Plus exclusively. And we have some betrayal going on this week, or just plotting, just straight up white plotting going on. So we're gonna get into how people just are plotting around. It's interesting.
And someone is walking around clueless. So
Love you, girl.
give us nothing. So we speaking of giving us nothing, we come to episode of Casey sharing how it has been a whirlwind for her and Troy the last week or so, and she's relying on her own alliances with Jordan and Tori to get her far. And between her and Troy and the rest of the Ivy groups, there's no love lost with them, especially with Yes and Emily. So that's that update from Miss Futon. And then Tori and Danny have I guess, a come to Jesus moment with their partnership about the contention that they're having. And Tori said they need a conclusion, or else one of their sides is going to falter. And Danny says that if people can't take a shot at their respective allies, which she was more so referring to Tori, not saying Casey or Jordan's names, then him and Tori are going to be targets as collateral because people will be looking at them and not those other teams. And he's at this point very nervous about that possibility.
Yeah, I mean, from the beginning, they have been tumultuous to say the least in their respective partnership, and they are their own downfall essentially because they can't get together to compromise on anything. So, I mean, last week Tori said the line where she voted in them rather than voting in Casey. So I feel like it's just them or nothing at all, which I feel
Yeah,
like it's so odd that they can't even come to an agreement.
barely, just barely. They can be on good terms for like just like one moment, and then like next week it just comes to shit. And then Tristan and Kaz had a convo. They hadn't really had any game chats, even though like they won the UK version together. They're friends, but they just haven't had time to talk game with one another. Kaz has been in whatever world she's in, following what Jordan got going on. And she did tell Tristan that she would give him a heads up if his name had to be said. And Tristan was lamenting the fact that he has lost a lot of allies recently, and he's trying to gain some new ones, and hopefully he's trying to quote say something with him and Kaz and their friendship that they had and their history of winning the UK challenge together.
Yeah, I mean, we can discuss it more when we get to how this relationship kind of blew up this episode, but I just think that for Cash, she's literally just been under Jordan this whole time, and it really hasn't been anything interesting from her to say the least. They tried to throw in the Theo storyline, but we don't care. So it's honestly just her being under Jordan and then Tristan trying his best to just survive because it's either they're someone's throwing them in, or his partner is throwing them in and somehow by getting people upset and under arms. So it's just like you can't win for losing if you're Tristan at this point.
Yeah, and with Kaz, like she gives us nothing. Like it's just vibes and whatever. So it's it's not as much. I had higher hopes, but because I did watch UK version, she didn't really do much, and I was like, okay, it's the same thing. Like she was just really focused on the game stuff, which that's been her. But it's like, give us something else because we didn't get a lot from you in that shortened season, by the way. But still, like, give us something else aside from just being under Jordan. And Kellyanne and Kiki had a talk as well about how like they're still and the influx of like how they are in the game. They both know that the cards are being shown of different alliances, and that could probably work in their favor, but it's just a lot, just moving parts that need to get fixed. And then we also get a challenge, which is inspired by the new movie Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. It comes out in June. Fun fact: the new trailer came out today too. It was actually really good. And we get a cameo from Anthony Ramos, who stays looking like a black man at that time. I don't know if he is Afro Latino, but it just threw me off. But yeah,
I'm assuming he is. I don't know. I just know him as the dude in the Crown Royal commercials. I don't know.
I
I'm
remember
not
him from
familiar with this
She's.
game. I'm not
I,
familiar with this game. I'm sorry.
yeah, I just remember him from She's Gotta Have It because he played Mars and he looked totally different in that.
Oh, the reboot. I was like, he was in She's Gotta Have It, like Spike Lee. Never
Yeah.
mind. I'm old. Keep going.
Yeah, but he's in the new Transformers movie as the lead, and they got him to talk about the movie and how it correlates to this challenge, which is called Highway Hijacking, where one team member will be harnessed on top of a speeding truck while the partner is in a spooper buggy inside the truck's trailer, and the harnessed team member will jump to the next truck to receive a key and unlock a detonator that will blast the back of the truck trailer. And then once the detonators are hit, the team member that is driving the super buggy must navigate through the back of the trailer and get to the finish line. The team with the fastest time wins and gets tickets to the world premiere of Transformers: Rise of the Beast. And the slowest team will head straight to the arena.
It's kind of whack. I'm not gonna hold you. Like they just dropped a bag on the promo, essentially, and was just like, here, promote this movie, add it in as a challenge, and then we're just gonna throw in some free tickets. Like, whatever. I think it's lame, to be honest, but and I'm not promoting the movie because we're not getting paid from them. So do it as you wish. Like if you want to go see it, go ahead, do it. But I'm not gonna recommend or deny. I don't have a dog in the fight.
But it is, I don't know. It's something about this challenge that kind of irked me because like it wasn't a lot to go with. It was
It
literally
was
just a
literally 3 steps.
yeah,
Like jump from one truck to another, put the key fob in, hit the button, press the gas, and get out. Like that was it.
yeah. I'm like, this is it. But we got some moments that were stood out in this challenge. We started off with Theo and Sarah, where Theo got to that nanner and Sarah just like sped her way to the end. It really was just people who were in the buggies just going as fast as they could to get to the finish line. That really was it. When Yes and Emily went, they got past the finish line, and then Emily toppled over in the buggy and had whiplash, and she had a moment, but she got up and she was good.
Yeah, she shook it off. It honestly, I'm surprised that nothing else worse happened to anybody. And I think that we couldn't really see how far the track went from them hitting the finish line to the end. So, I mean, like, it's a good amount of time for you to like hit the brake to after you pass the finish line. But I guess they're just going as fast as they can. And she just really just like had an accident where she just fell over. And I was like, damn, I hope she's okay. Cause he kind of made it a little dramatic and kind of stretched it out, but then she was just fine.
Yeah. Most everybody was doing the exact same thing with just getting past the finish line and nothing really dramatic aside from that Emily moment. Um, but when Darrell and Kiki went, Darrell was actually the one who drove, and while Kiki was the one who did the jumping back and forth, which was different from how the other teams did it. It was mostly the guys that were jumping, and it had the girls driving. So I like how they kind of switched it up in that sense, but that kind of messed them up a bit. I don't know what decision went into that, how they wanted to do that, but that kind of messed them up.
Yeah, I think you could tell that Darrell was going really slow. Like it didn't look like he was hitting the gas as fast as he could. So that was a concern, like Alfred watching him like go. It was just like, dude, hit the gas a little harder. Like, you could push your foot on it. But yeah.
Like he looked like he was like because we both live in California. He was driving like he was in California because folks don't drive that fast unless on the freeway, and he was giving that. But you know, Kaz and Jordan went next, and they sped through the line. Danny and Tori went, and they were like, "We need a need a win for team morale." And Tori's like, "I'm gonna lean into my driving that I do in Jersey and New York." I barely know of anybody that actually drives in New York, so I don't know what the heck she was talking about.
You're literally looking at one person right now that drives. Like,
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
but still, like most people would take the subway, but I would
it
think,
it it depends. Jersey is a commuter city for sure, but they drive more in Jersey than they do out here in the city. But I mean, it's 50-50 at this point. It just depends on like your vibe and where you're at, essentially. But yeah,
I
driving in New
had
York is
to.
like it's prayers. It's pretty much defensive driving. Like that's what you're doing because you're just trying to figure out what the person in front of you is doing and also trying to protect yourself. But then you also have to drive like 25 miles per hour because the city is so freaking retarded where you have to fucking drive 25. Like who drives 25 miles an hour? Like I'm not freaking driving as Daisy. Like I'm hitting the gas. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I digress.
Because I had, when I saw that I had it, I'm like, wait, let me bring this up to Alicia. I'm like, how many people of like consensus would actually drive in New York? In Jersey, I get people drive because it's like a suburb in a sense, but in the city, I wouldn't expect a lot of people driving aside from like the cab services.
No, there's a lot more than you expect. Like, cause yeah.
Okay, noted. Okay, cool. But in the midst of Tori driving, she decided that she wanted to do a donut, and she ended up topping over because of that. I have no words.
Um, I have no clue why she would decide to do that, but I'm glad she's okay as well because that was just really stupid. Like, just real dumb, especially after seeing what Emily just did. Like, why would you even try to attempt that?
Yeah. So that was all the teams that went, and we got the fastest teams of Sarah and Theo and Jordan and Kaz, but Jordan and Kaz were faster and they win this daily. And the slowest team by seconds was Darrell and Kiki because Darrell was driving Miss Daisy.
Yeah, I'm driving Mr. Jarrell, I guess. Sad.
And with that, that's how we got Darrell going to elimination. And I'm like, that's some praise because as a Darrell fan, I'm like, I hope he can kick this out because it's getting to nitty gritty. And I'm like, I don't know. And a lot of teams right now are like very stacked and very even, I would say. So it's very 50-50 on how they would do in the nation right now at this point in the game. And Kellyanne says that she was going to go ahead and try and pit the USC teams against each other. And she was going around pitching the different people, Sarah and Theo and Tori and Danny. She went to Emily, who was not going to say Sarah's name. She went to Casey, who was obviously not going to say Tori's name. And Casey was very confused on how Kellyanne thought that this would work. And she also said she doesn't trust Kellyanne because she's going back and forth with different people.
Yeah, that's where Kellyanne kind of messed up, and I know that she was just putting out her effort to at least attempt to get them thrown in. Like, even if she was throwing blindly, she had to try because Tori's Casey has already said Tori's name, so it's not far fetched for them to say their name again. Now it would have to be for a valid reason or like a good, you know, contention on why she would say her name, but just off the back of Kellyanne having a plan, like that's just not gonna fly for Casey. And so Casey was respectable. Like she listened to her and then she was like, "Yeah, girl, the math ain't really mathing, so I don't really know what you're saying, so I'm just gonna leave." Like she just kind of just bowed out and left Kellyanne to just be like, "All right, now we got to try something else because Casey and Troy, it's not going to work with them. They got to try another angle." They end up trying the Emily and Yes angle, and I like Kellyanne. I did not have a problem with the way she spoke to Yes. Like I don't feel like she was as harsh as Tristan made it seem, but I get why Tristan was kind of like, "Hey, like let's just calm down in how we talk in our tone because of course it's Kellyanne and it can come off a little abrasive, but honestly, I don't think like she was. I just think that she was just trying to get it done. Like she was a little motivated.
Yeah, like I was gonna make that note. Like he was like he didn't want her stirring up shit with how she was going about things, but like she's not doing a lot. She's not. She this Kellyanne is not the Kellyanne we saw at the beginning of the season, the one that was wildly going to those people and like saying random things. This time, yeah, she is saying random things to the wrong people, but she's trying her best to at least be reasonable and say it in her way. It may not be as appropriate for some people like Tristan, but it gets the point across. And because Kellyanne and Yes have a rapport with one another, I don't think Yes was really bothered by it either.
Yeah, I don't think he was. I Because he's been on multiple seasons with Kellyanne. They have some kind of personal relationship or just a co-worker, a co-worker relationship that, he'll be able to listen out for her and how she is. So, yeah, I think Tristan was just trying to slow her down before she even got to a point where she was like, getting crazy with anyone, but I don't think she was.
No, same. And there was a USA meeting with Jordan to strategize about their vote. And they're like, hey, let's split Kelly and develop this week. And then next week we go after Guess and Emily. And Danny and Tori were in a good place, thanks to Jordan being their mediator, I guess. And Jordan was like saying also that Kaz is not in a discussion with them because of her friendship with Tristan, and she would not say what he wanted her to say, essentially, and it wouldn't work in their conversation.
Yeah, which again, Cass has really done nothing this season, so I'm not surprised that he left her out, but it is like a little alarming, just like how Tori and Danny have had this tension going on with them not being able to choose and come to an agreement. Jordan is just really overtaking everything in terms of that relationship with him and Cass. And so it's literally just her following his lead, which it shouldn't be. Like there needs to be some kind of middle ground. And even though this was his version of middle ground, I don't think that worked for Cass in her game. So it's just a weird dynamic that these teams have where everyone has different alliances. They're all going in different directions and they're trying to protect people. But at the end of the day, they need to protect themselves because you're running a final with some of these people that you're trying to protect, quote unquote. And basically, it's like, who can you beat? Like, not me bringing my friend along and trying to tag this person along with me the whole time, but who can I beat in a final? Like, people are not just thinking ahead, they're just thinking, like, let's just get this person out. And it's just like the dynamics in this season don't work for that game plan. Like the Vacation Alliance is not all taken over where it's 85 of them and they all could get out every single rookie and every single person that's really not a part of the clique. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like Kaz made this point after the nominations and the decision was made. She was like, "Do you want to run?" Like she was like, "I would want to run a final with such and such rather than this other team because we have a better chance of beating them." Because if you look at some of these teams on paper who we have left, and if you take some people out of the equation, the chances are higher. So it's like it's not Friend Island. It's not Friends, guys. It's not Friends. It's not living single. This is the challenge. You can see your friends later. Your friends gotta go. This is not a personal thing. This is a game. What's best for you? Because you're the only one that's winning this money. And they all ended up signing contracts of sorts for this agreement to go after Kellyanne and Darrell, and next week go after Yes and Emily. But half the group is weary about what Sarah would do because she is close with Emily. But she was like, I came in this game with Danny. That's my true number one in a sense. But now she has Emily to think about a little bit because they've had that before. So Tori and Jordan are worried about what she will do next week. And then they rock paper scissors for who would be the sacrificial lamb for this vote because they knew like, hey, one of us gotta get in the bubble teams. So they did that, and it looked like Tori and Danny lost that one. So we go to nominations where Tori started to vote for Kelly and Tristan, and quote unquote burned the vote on her and Danny.
Yeah. And then we have a domino effect of everyone pretty much just voting in Tori and Danny and Kellyanne and Tristan. And Tristan and Kellyanne's face in that moment where she noticed like she got and her plan didn't, go to fruition as she wants to, and everyone really just went behind her back and just plotted. Her face was just so defeated. Like she was so defeated, and I felt bad because Kellyanne has been trying to play a game where she protects herself, but she also gets, some of the stronger players out, but then also make sure that her alliances and people around her are still being able to be successful in this game. And it's so hard to see because Kellyanne was just like, dude, what the hell? Like her face was just super defeated, and then that was just the end of Kellyanne and Tristan, to be honest.
Yeah, I was like, dang, like it was. She really looked down. I was like, well, that's how it could crumble. But I was like, dang, I hate how to be Kellyanne. Like everybody else is like, okay, we're gonna go after Kellyanne for why? Like that the main thing like for everyone most everybody to vote for Kellyanne. I'm like, okay, y'all couldn't make y'all's pick at Yes and Emily. Like that really could have been the vote because they have ops on their own team. Like y'all didn't want to make this move now. Like you're like, oh, we'll just go Kellyanne. For why? Like
Because
they
I feel like they feel like Kellyanne is more and has been more destructive this whole season. Like Yes and Emily have been too, and they definitely are a strong team and they can, be a threat to these people. But I feel like Kellyanne is just on the outs of this whole alliance that's going on in the house and the majority of the alliances. And so with Darrell and Kiki being the only one team that has their back, they're like, let's just put these two teams against each other that have each other's back, and then the best man wins on that one, and then we have just one less person to worry about next week. So like it's not just the let's get Yes and Emily kind of thing. It's just like let's just get this alliance out, break this, head of the snake, and then we can move on to Yes and Emily.
I guess it's like thing. It's like I just didn't want it to happen this week. Like, if y'all wanted someone out, y'all could have just made yes Emily the ones that want to go in, but I don't know. Um, but Casey and Troy, they put their votes on yes Emily and Sarah and Theo because they weren't in those conversations. Like Casey was not in that conversation with Tori and them. She wasn't privy to that, so they weren't voting that same way for at least one of those, for at least both of those votes actually. Um, and yeah, the main consensus was really going to be Tori and Danny and Kelly and Tristan. And once the others saw what the vote was, they were like, Kiki, were cool. Like, they were like, y'all figure this out. We out. And Kaz was pondering the idea to Jordan about pinning in Tori and Danny because taking them out will be the best chance for them to win. Because on paper, Tori and Danny are the team to beat. But rather than Kelly and Tristan. So, but because Jordan already has his mind made up, that wasn't happening. He's rolling with what his plan was, and Kaz is not going to get a word in about this.
Yeah, I think she was more trying to defend Tristan in a way, so she made it seem like, voting Tori and Danny in would be a better fit for them. But obviously, Jordan had his plan already, and that was the end of that. So it was really no going back and forth talking about it. And once Darrell and Kiki saw those names, they knew that it was over for them, and they knew exactly what was going on. The jigs
Yep,
was up.
yep. And um, she also said it was weird that like he set under the decision without actually talking to her. Like they're supposed to be partners. Like why aren't you talking to me about this? But like we've said, Jordan's taking the reins and just not talk to her about anything. He's just making moves for them by himself with other people. And it's no pushback. It really hasn't been no pushback from her thus far. And then today she's like felt slighted about it, but it's like you haven't been vocal this whole season. Just this week you want to start to get vocal, but it doesn't work. So
Right. She should have said something sooner. It's only the reason why she's getting vocal now is because it's personal. So I get it, but she should have had some kind of conversation with him prior to say, hey, if we get to this certain point in the game, what are we gonna do?
and she hasn't even talked game to Tristan until this week, barely. Like they hadn't really like talked game this like whole time. So it's like, are you working with Tristan? Are you just there? And just when you get to a certain point, you are gonna try and gonna have to make a hard decision and just let things be. It's not like that. If you know you have your number one, Tristan wouldn't have been in all of the situations, and Jordan and the others would have laid off of him and Kellyanne.
I doubt it. I really doubt it. Even if Jordan has respect for her, but I think just because the attachment of Kellyanne, it's not going they're not gonna buy it. Like I doubt that they would have laid off. If they would have gone after them sooner, yeah, but I feel like because the majority was going after Kellyanne and Tristan, it just made it easy to do that group thing kind of situation where they all just vote for them. And then once they kept putting that target on their back, it just was like, let's just keep rolling with Kellyanne and Tristan.
Yeah. But I just would have hoped because now that Cass has some of that energy, she should have stated, like, hey, let's lay off of them at least for a bit. And then once the actual time came, let's go after. I'll be fine. And I'll communicate with Tristan what is going on. Because she has not communicated with him at all, even this, like, barely this week. So yeah. Also, Tori felt bad that they were voting Tristan in on his, and he was going to possibly leave on his birthday. I'm like, girl, get a grip.
I mean, what a present. I don't know. Like, that was the time y'all chose, so it is what it is.
Yeah. And we go to the arena. We bring out our losers and Kiki and Darrell, the bubble teams and Danny and Tori, and Tristan and Kellyanne. And Jordan had Cass do the honors to say who they chose. Well, to say who he chose in Tristan and Kellyanne. And Cass apologized to both of them and said that she felt like shit. And Tristan also said that he knew that Cass was very radio silent and didn't say nothing to him up until the decision. And Cass said she felt like a bad friend, but she was like, I really couldn't convince him. Like he was set on straight about this decision.
Yeah, I mean we discussed it. It
Yeah,
is what it is with that.
yeah. And now we go into the elimination, which is called Hands Off, where the teams must use giant chopsticks to transfer 9 puzzle pieces over a balance beam, one at a time. And each time a piece drops, they have to reset. And once all pieces are transferred, they must solve the puzzle, and the first team to do so will win and stay in the game. And immediately, Darrell and Kiki's first piece drops, while Kelly and Tristan got the first, and they had a good stride and rhythm up until a certain point, where they messed up on like the halfway through with their pieces, and Darrell and Kiki were struggling. Kiki was being very aggressive with her movements, and it just wasn't working at one point.
Yeah, I think their rhythm was off. You know, Kiki has definitely been a great story to see. She won her season of Australia, and I think seeing her on this season and really how she is, how she moves, I really like the dynamic of Duel and Kiki. Like when she had anxiety going into the challenge, he can spot it right away. He knew what was going on with her, and this challenge just made them be able to communicate more and better and try to just calm each other down because Kiki was moving super fast, and Duel was like, "Hey, calm down, let's slow down and get it together because we're trying to move as one unit, and I can't do that if you're all over the place essentially." And I just think the way that they had that breakdown early on in the first half of this elimination to see how they went to the second half, it's just a testament to how, first of all, mature the both of them are, but also comfortable with each other where they can communicate well and get it done because it was looking real bleak in that first half of the elimination. Not gonna lie.
No, yeah, it really was. Because I was like, y'all can't get this together. Meanwhile, Kelly and Tristan had damn near half of theirs good, and then after a while, like they faltered and messed up their rhythm, and they kept dropping pieces like multiple times in like a trip, so they had to keep resetting. But during Kiki, like I said, we finally found a rhythm when they got to 5 pieces. Then they dropped a piece twice as well, but they figured it out, and they got all the pieces to the other side of that little line. They did their puzzle, and Darrell was like, "Hey guys, I know my tangerines. I got this." He was like, I'm gonna just do this puzzle myself. I got this." And they got the win. They finished the puzzle, and they're staying in the game.
Which I'm really happy for. It was really like tense watching that elimination because I'm like, fuck, I don't know who's gonna win, but it really was neck and neck the whole time. I didn't appreciate Jordan and Tori yelling for Kellyanne after y'all plotted to put the girl in. Y'all are just fake as fuck. Just shut up and say absolutely nothing when you're standing on the podium next time. But shout out to Darrell and Kiki for winning. And like I said, having that communication and just being able to get through it. Darrell put the puzzle pieces together, and that was all she wrote. And Kellyanne and Tristan were right there. Like they were so close to it though. So it was just like it's hard to see Kellyanne leave off that. I hope Kellyanne returns in some way or fashion or form. I don't know in which format she would, if she would do this show again or if she would do, you know, All Stars. But love Kellyanne. I feel like she brought great TV this time around, as she always does. But I feel like this season she was just like she was on her shit. Like she was not playing, and I wish to see her return.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Killian. I knew from the start, like she was gonna provide something, and I thoroughly enjoyed every moment of it. I want her back again because she's gonna give even more unhingedness. Because you love that in the house, and it's different. It's been a bit of fresh air having her on the show because on the last actual main shows, it's been horrid. But of her with like the people that we've seen from the other shows, it's been a delight. So that was a great little bright spot. But we're gonna miss it because now we gotta go back to whatever Tori and Jordan got going on, and then um, the unhappy couple and Danny and Tori as well.
Yeah, I mean, more or less the same shit going on, but more now with Tori and Danny really coming to a head and really just being like, all right, who's going to let up first here?
Yeah. And that's it with the recap. We're going to instance these tweets, and a lot of these tweets, I said a lot, but I'm gonna dial it down a bit. The only tweet I have from Danny this week is I bet a lot of the MVPs are watching this season and wishing they were more vocal instead of just blindly following their partners.
True. I think he's talking to Cass.
Yeah. And next tweet, please go check on the rail. Okay, no, hold on. Let me redo this. So Davon posted a Bobby Shmurda gift. Someone commented under it saying, please go check on the rail because he started the podcast off with, where is Davon? Now, I wish Davon was on the episode with Darrell because they have a good rapport for another, but he was just like, where's Davon? I want to talk to her.
About what?
Just about the show because she is sometimes on the recap podcast, but he
Oh,
would have thought
okay.
that she was going to be on the one that he did, but she wasn't
Oh,
on for
okay.
the week.
Okay. Got it.
Yes. The next tweet, Kiki is the first woman to have a 4-0 record since Cam back when she got that record in Final Reckoning. She is that girl. That's a
She really is. Shout out to Kiki.
yeah, like that's first appearance, well, second appearance on the challenge, but you get what I'm saying. Like us as American viewers seeing her, she's been killing it. So props to her. And the last tweet, I'm really starting to get really tired of Cass. Great competitor in challenges, but she's just completely passive as a political and social player. Doesn't add much drama, no funny moments, and has zero brains.
I mean, true. I'm not gonna go as far as that she has no brains because I don't know the girl, but
Yeah.
6 times 7 is 42. So it is what it is. I don't know.
So and then they replied to somebody. It said that she's Casey part two. So that's not a good compliment.
It's really not. It's really not. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever see this girl again either. So I don't want to keep piling on her, but still, it has been a great showing for this version of the show, to say the least.
Yeah, and those are all the tweets from this week.
And that is the end of this episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you would like to check us out on Twitter, you can follow us at Dual Lines Podcast or Dual Lines Pod, excuse me. You can follow Megan at Megs and Hines. You can follow myself at ace_s5. And you can watch us on YouTube if you're listening at Dual Lines Pod on YouTube. And we'll be back next week to continue the recaps of the Challenge World Championship on Paramount Plus. Thank you guys for listening. Have a good week. Bye.
Bye.